Hi, we're back with Chapter 7, To the East. Jack and Annie stood still for a long moment. Annie spoke first. Well, I guess the tall ninja was pointing to the east, she said. I guess that's the way we should go. Wait, said Jack. I need to write something down. He took out his notebook, and in the moonlight, he wrote down on the paper. Number 1, use nature. Number 2, be nature. And number 3, follow nature. Look, Jack, whispered Annie. Do I look like a ninja? He looked at her. She had pulled her sweatshirt hood over her head and tied the strings tightly. She did look like a ninja, a very small one. Good idea, Jack whispered, and he pulled his hood up too. Okay, let's go, said Annie. Jack put his notebook away, and then he and Annie headed east into the woods. They slipped between the trees, and more trees and more trees. All the trees looked the same. Jack was getting confused. Were they still going in the right direction? Wait, he said. Annie stopped, and they both stared at the woods all around them. Do you think we're still going east? Said Jack. I guess so, said Annie. We can't just guess, said Jack. We have to know for sure. Well, how do we do that? We don't have a compass. Just then, the master's words came back to Jack. The ninja master said to use nature, he said. Well, how do we do that? Said Jack. Wait, I remember something, Jack. Jack closed his eyes. He remembered something he had read in a book about camping. Now, what was it? He opened his eyes. I've got it. First, we need a stick. Aunt picked up a stick and handed it to him. Here, she said. Great. Now we just need a space was lit up by the moon, said Jack. Over there, said Annie. They moved into a moonlit space between the shadows. Now push the stick into the ground. Annie pushed the stick straight up into the ground. The stick's shadow looks like it's more than 6 inches, said Jack. What do you think? It looks like it, said Annie. Okay, then that means the shadow's pointing east, said Jack. He had made his own compass using a stick. So brilliant. That's neat, said Annie. So that way is east. Jack pointed to a new direction. At least I hope it is. We're real ninjas now, said Annie. Yep, said Jack. Maybe we are. Come on, let's go. They took off heading east, they hoped. Soon they were out of the pine woods and walking down the rocky mountainside. They moved slowly from rock to rock. Finally, they rested against a huge rock. Let's check our direction again, said Jack. Annie stuck the stick back into the dirt. There, he said. He pointed to the shadow on the ground. That way. Annie peeked over the rock down the mountain. Yikes, she said softly. Jack looked too. His heart nearly stopped. There were huge flames of fire coming up the mountain. It was torches. It was the samurai. Jack and Annie ducked down behind the rock. Squeak, said the mouse. Shh, quiet, Peanut, said Annie. Jack reached into his pack. He pulled out the ninja book. I hope something in here can help us, he said. Jack flipped through page after page until he found what he was looking for. It was a picture of warriors wearing bamboo armor. They were holding swords, and he read, the samurai were fierce Japanese fighters. They carried 2 swords to protect themselves from their enemies. Annie tapped Jack on the shoulder. Jack looked at her. She pointed up the mountain. A figure was coming down towards them. He was very close. In the moonlight, his bamboo armor was shining. His 2 swords were gleaming. It was a real samurai warrior. A samurai warrior is like the knight from the medieval book, The Knight at Dawn. Only the Knight at Dawn, the knight's armor is made out of metal. This is made out of wood. But he looks very similar. Chapter 8, Dragon Water. Jack and Annie crouched together. Samurai were on both sides of them now. They were trapped. Jack pressed against the rock. The warrior stepped closer and closer. He looked to the right, and then he looked to the left. Jack held his breath. Be nature, whispered Annie. What? Jack whispered back. Be nature. Be a rock. Oh, brother, thought Jack, this was nuts. But he squeezed his eyes shut, and then he tried to be part of the rock. Like this. Jack tried to be as still as the rock, as solid as the rock, and as quiet as the rock. Soon he started feeling as strong as the rock, as safe as the rock. He wanted to be the rock forever. Squeak! He's gone, said Annie. The samurai, they're all gone. Jack opened his eyes. The samurai warrior was gone. Jack stood up and looked over the rock. The torches were gone too. They were so quiet, they didn't know they were there. They were being nature. Let's go, Annie said. Jack took a deep breath. He felt great. He was getting more and more like a ninja every minute, maybe even like a ninja master. East, he said. And they went east, down the mountain between the rocks, until they came to the wide, icy stream. Uh-oh. The water seemed even wilder than before. I don't see the treehouse, said Annie. Jack looked across the stream to the dark grove of trees. The moonlight shone on their pale flowers. But where was the treehouse? I don't see it either, said Jack. But we have to cross the water first. Then we'll try and find it. The water was crashing and rushing over the rocks. Squeak! The mouse peeked out from its pouch. Don't be afraid, said Annie, and she patted the mouse's little head. Be like us. Be like a ninja, too. Let's go, Jack said. He took a deep breath and he stepped into the stream. The icy water swirled up to his knees. The current knocked him over. Jack grabbed for some weeds. He held on tight as the water swirled around him. He was freezing to death. Jack! Annie grabbed Jack's arms. She helped him back onto the bank. That was close, said Annie. Jack wiped his glasses. Luckily, they hadn't fallen off in the water. Are you okay? Said Annie. Not really, said Jack. His teeth were chattering. He was chilled to the bone. We'll never get across that cold water, said Annie. Here's a picture of her helping Jack out of the water. Back onto the bank over here, but they need to get across to the other side. How are they going to do it? Let's see. We'll drown if we try and cross that water, or we'll freeze to death, said Jack. He pulled off the hood of his sweatshirt. He didn't feel much like a ninja anymore. Annie pulled off her head, too, and she sighed. What can we do? She said. Squeak! Peanut climbed out of Annie's sweatshirt pouch and leaped onto the ground. Peanut, come back, Annie called. No, said Jack. We have to follow Peanut. Why? Asked Annie. We have to do what the master said, said Jack. Number 3, follow nature. Oh, right, said Annie. Follow Peanut. But where is Peanut? In the moonlight, Jack saw the little mouse. It was running through the grass next to the stream. There, he cried, come on. Jack hurried after Annie. Annie hurried after Peanut, and they ran beside the rushing waters. A moonlit branch had fallen across a narrow part of the stream, and it touched both sides of the shore from one side to the other. The mouse was running over the branch. It was like a bridge. Peanut's going over a bridge, said Annie, and she started to follow. Wait, cried Jack. We can't go on that branch. It's way too small. It'll break. Well, we'll find out next time in Chapter 9. Mouse walk. Wonder if they're going to be able to get over that stream. We'll see.